Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. It is Monday, January 26, 2026. If you have been refreshing your feeds, waiting for the smoke to clear over New Zealand Rugby, well, today is the day. The waiting game is over. The search for the next All Blacks head coach has officially begun.
It has. And honestly, the silence over the last few weeks was, it was starting to get a bit deafening, wasn't it?
Absolutely. A real limbo.
But today we actually have a map. We have confirmation, a timeline, and maybe most importantly, we have this very specific set of criteria.
Which tells us exactly what the NZR is thinking.
Precisely.
And look, this feels like a massive pivot point. We aren't just talking about a job vacancy. We're talking about the whole identity of the team for the next World Cup cycle.
For sure.
So before we get into the weeds, and we are going deep on candidates and the selection panel, I need to ask you to do one thing. If you care about where this team is going, you need to subscribe to Rugby Obsession right now.
Please do.
We're going to be following this day by day, and you do not want to be the last to know, so just hit that subscribe button.
The nuance here is going to evolve very, very quickly.
Okay, let's set the table. NZR confirmed today that the process to appoint Scott Robertson's successor is officially live. For context, just remind us of the landscape right now.
The landscape is, well, to put it mildly, it's a bit scorched earth. Earlier this month, January 2026, Scott Robertson was dismissed. And we have to remember the gravity of that. He was only 2 years into a 4-year deal.
Which is just so rare for the All Blacks.
Almost unheard of in the professional era. It followed that fateful review of the 2025 season. The board looked at the results and decided staying the course was more dangerous than blowing it all up.
So they're framing this new search as a rectification.
That's the word. And Steve Lancaster, the acting CEO, used a phrase that really stuck out to me. He said they're proceeding with care and urgency.
Which usually feel like opposites.
It's the tightrope, isn't it? Urgency because the rugby calendar waits for no one. You can't have a vacuum at the top. But care because, well, in their eyes, they just got it wrong.
Right. They hired the People's Choice, the Super Rugby dynasty builder, and it didn't translate. They cannot afford to miss twice.
No way.
And that leads us straight to the bombshell in the criteria. This isn't just an open call for CVs. What is the crucial requirement?
The board has made it completely non-negotiable.
Yeah.
All applicants must have already coached in the international arena.
Wow. That is a line in the sand.
It's a fortress wall. If you haven't held the clipboard at test level, you don't even get to apply.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Is this an overcorrection? It feels like they're looking at Scott Robertson, 7 Super Rugby titles, 0 test experience, and saying, that was the only problem.
Well, is it fair? I don't know if fair comes into it in pro sport, but is it logical from their perspective? Yes.
Explain that.
Think about the two jobs. Super Rugby, you have your squad for months. You build systems, build culture. You can lose a few games and still win the title.
You have time.
Exactly. Test Rugby, you get them for 2 weeks here, 3 weeks there. You're flying across time zones. The media pressure is 100 times worse.
The margins are razor thin.
And that's what the board is saying. They think the gap Robertson couldn't bridge was the specific operational reality of test match rugby. They want someone who walks in and knows that rhythm on day one.
A safe pair of hands.
Precisely. They've been burned by potential. Now they want proof.
And, of course, the other rule still applies. You have to be a New Zealander.
Oh, yes. The board isn't ready to outsource the national identity just yet. So, a Kiwi, but a well-traveled one.
Which really thins the herd, doesn't it? We're looking at a very exclusive club. So let's go through the names Planet Rugby has reported as the shortlist.
And they all come with a bit of baggage. That's the nature of international coaching.
Before we do that, I just want to remind you, if you're loving this analysis, this is what we do at Rugby Obsession. We tear the headlines apart. Make sure you are subscribed so you get the next update as soon as it drops.
So let's start with the favorite. The name on everyone's lips seems to be Jamie Joseph.
He feels like the guy this criteria was written for.
He really does. He's back in the system, coaching the Highlanders and the All Blacks XV, so he knows the current players.
But it's that international box that he just smashes, right?
Look at his time with Japan, 2016 to 2023. 2 full World Cup cycles. And he didn't just participate, he elevated them.
That 2019 World Cup run was legendary.
It was, but look at how they played. It was so technical, so fast. He built a game plan that showed incredible tactical flexibility. That's something the All Blacks have been accused of lacking.
So he's got the tactical chops. He's managed the pressure of a home World Cup. He is the safest bet.
If you want someone who ticks every single box, it's him.
Okay, but let's look at the next option, because this is where it gets spicy. Dave Rennie,
The man who went across the ditch.
He has the international experience. He coached the Wallabies, but he got fired by the Wallabies. Is hiring the guy Australia didn't want really the power move NZR wants to make?
That is the big headline argument against him, absolutely. Why do we want their cast-off?
Right.
But that ignores the context of his time there. You have to remember what he was working with. The injuries were unprecedented.
They were shocking.
He was digging into third and fourth string players constantly. And despite that, he made them competitive. You could argue they played much better under him than they did right after he left.
That's a fair point. And he knows the enemy now.
He does. He spent years analyzing the All Blacks from the outside. He knows where the weaknesses are. That outsider-insider perspective is really valuable.
So don't let the ending of his Wallabies job blind you to the quality of the coach.
I think he's a battle-hardened test coach who deserves a serious look.
Then there's candidate number 3, Vern Cotter. Stern Vern.
The contrast here is fascinating, isn't it? He's with the Blues now, but his international resume is Scotland and Fiji.
2 very different rugby cultures.
Polar opposites. One is all structure, the other is all flair. The fact he managed both tells you about his adaptability. But his reputation is built on one thing: standards.
He's the disciplinarian.
He is the hard-nosed operator. And you have to wonder, after the review into 2025, if there were complaints about loose standards. Vern Cotter is the corrective measure.
A definite shift from the vibes and breakdancing era.
It would be a return to that grim-faced, get-the-job-done mentality, which might be exactly what the board feels is missing.
Now we have to talk about Joe Schmidt. Is there any world where he pulls a U-turn and comes home?
The reports are pretty consistent. It looks like he's ruled himself out. He's committed to the Wallabies project.
So it's a 3-horse race. Joseph, Rennie, Cotter.
And that's a high-quality field. We aren't scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
So we have the candidates. But who's actually making the decision? The composition of this panel is, well, it's loaded with subtext.
It's incredibly loaded. You've got David Kirk, the chairman, Steve Lancaster, the acting CEO, Don Tricker, former head of high performance, and Kevin Mielamu.
Plus 1 unnamed former All Black. But there's a huge awkwardness there, isn't there?
A massive one.
Yeah.
Kirk, Mielamu, and Tricker were the ones who ran the review. They heard the complaints from the players. They're the ones who pulled the trigger on the firing.
So the executioners are also the hiring committee?
Exactly. They know precisely what the players said was broken. If they hire the popular guy and he fails, that is completely on them.
They're all in.
They've staked their reputations on this. And think about Mielamu. He's a player's player. If he brings in a coach the locker room hates, all that trust just evaporates.
It's high-stakes poker. And you mentioned Lancaster's comment about care and urgency. They know the public is watching.
They do. He called it an incredibly important appointment. That's an admission that the brand has taken a hit. They have to get this right to restore faith.
And while all this is going on, the rugby world keeps spinning. The sources also mentioned some other headlines.
Yeah, the broader context. You look at Brodie Retallick continuing his insane run. He's a machine, but he's closer to the end than the beginning.
And the news about Aaron Smith may be heading to France for a last hurrah.
Which signals the golden generation is truly moving on. The new coach isn't walking into a room full of 100-cap veterans in their prime. He's building the next generation.
Which makes that international experience rule even more important, right? You can't have a rookie coach and indeed a rookie team.
That's the synthesis. You need a counterbalance. If on-field leadership is in transition, off-field leadership has to be rock solid.
And up north, the Six Nations is kicking off. Ireland, France, they're setting the standard right now. We're playing catch-up.
That's the urgency.
So let's wrap this up. We have a clear mission from NZR. Find an experienced Kiwi to stabilize the ship. We have a short list of Joseph, Rennie, and Cotter, and a panel under immense pressure.
It's a defining moment for the most famous team in the sport.
So I want to turn this over to you, the listener. Do you agree with the international experience rule? Is it a smart safeguard, or is it too narrow? And who do you pick? The tactician Joseph, the battle-scarred Rennie, or the disciplinarian Cotter?
I'm really curious if fans can forgive Rennie's Wallaby connection. That's the big question for me.
Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. And listen, the story is moving fast. So one final time, please subscribe to Rugby Obsession. Be part of the conversation.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.